Hi, Alan.
Okay. I got a couple of jokes that have been tested with other groups, and they seem to. I took them out of a whole bunch of others, so I had like 50 jokes to come in this evening, but I got them down to like 12. So I hope you enjoy them. There's an Irishman, an Englishman, and a Scotsman, and they go to a lingerie store, and the Irishman comes in and says, "I'd like 7 sets of underwear, please." And the guy says, "What do you want 7 sets for?" He says, "Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday." So he sells him his 7 sets of underwear, and then no sooner has he done that, there's another knock on the door, and there's a Scotsman there. And he says, "I'd like around 8 sets of underwear, please." So he says, 8 sets? He says, "What do you want 8 sets for?" He says, "Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and Sunday." So he sells him his 8 sets of underwear. He's ready to close up, and he's closing down the store, and all of a sudden he sees an Englishman outside, and he figures, "What the heck, I'll let him in," you know. But the smell was pretty bad, so he didn't want to let him in, so he says, "Okay, how can I help you, because we're closing?" He says, "I would like around 12 sets of underwear, please." He says, "What do you want 12 sets for?" He says, "January, February." This guy goes to the doctor and he says, the doctor says, "I've got some good news and some bad news." He says, "Well, what's the good news?" He says, "You've got 24 hours to live." He says, "Come on, that can't be the good news." He says, "Well, what could possibly be the bad news?" "Well, your cell phone was turned off and we tried to get hold of you yesterday. We just couldn't reach you." Because the results came in yesterday. Anyway, this guy goes to the golf course and he realizes he's forgot his phone. And he figures, well, his wife should be notified that he's going to visit the washing machine guy. Is going to come over to change the washing machine and to fix the washing machine. So he says, he phones home on his landline, and his little girl answers the phone and says, he says, "Oh, hi, honey, it's Daddy here." He says, "Oh, hi, Daddy." She says, "I'd like to speak to Mummy." "Well, you can't speak to Mummy right now because she's with Uncle Frank in the bedroom." He says, "Uncle Frank? We don't have an Uncle Frank." He says, "Well, yes we do, and he's in the bedroom with Mummy." He says, "Okay, I'll tell you what to do, dear. Put the phone down, go to the room, and tell Mummy and Uncle Frank that I'm pulling in the driveway, and then come back to the phone and tell me what happened." So there's a silence, and then he hears 2 big bangs, and she runs down to the phone and says, "Well, I told Mummy exactly what you said, Daddy." And he says, "Well, what happened?" He says, "Mummy got so excited that she ran out of the room with no clothes on, and she tripped on the rug and fell out the window, and she's dead." He says, "No." He said, "Well, what about Uncle Frank?" He got really excited, and he ran around the house up and down, and he jumped out into the pool. But I guess he forgot that you emptied the pool yesterday, so he's dead too. And guy says, "Swimming pool? Is this 339-5648? Anyway, I have a cousin who attempted to swim the English Channel, got halfway across and realized he couldn't do it, so he swam back. this girl tells her girlfriend, I'm getting married for the 4th time. And she says, how come the fourth time? What happened to your first husband? She says, well, he died of eating poisoned mushrooms. Yeah, and what about the second guy? Well, he also died of eating poisoned mushrooms. She says, excuse me for asking, but what happened to the third guy? Well, he died of a broken neck. How can he die of a broken neck? He says, well, he wouldn't eat the poisoned mushrooms. There's a guy in the pub, and he's sitting there just contemplating whether he should drink his beer or not. And a biker comes in, and he comes right over, sees he's got a full drink right in front of him. He grabs a drink and swallows it down in one gulp. And the guy starts crying. He says, why are you crying? The biker says, why are you crying? He says, well, I've had such a horrible day today. He says, I came home and I found my wife with another man, and I went, and my daughter left home. She's not coming back. I got fired from my job because I was late. And then you come along, God damn it, and you drink. I was contemplating committing suicide, but you came along and you drank the poison. Okay, this guy goes to a hospital to read him his last rites. And as he's reading him his last rites, the patient signals for a paper and pen. And he gives him a paper and pen. And he writes down something on the paper, and he passes it to the preacher. And the preacher doesn't look in his pocket, so he just puts the note in and figures he'll read it later. But right after he had written down on the note, he passes away. So the next day was the funeral, and he believes that he's wearing the same jacket that he did in the hospital, and remembers that he put a note, and he's giving the eulogy about Frank, and he's telling everybody what a wonderful person this was. He was admired by everybody, and we can all learn from Frank because he had such words of wisdom to give everybody, and he was a pillar in our community. And the fact is, I happen to be very fortunate because I was with him on the last day he died, and he gave me this note, and I haven't even looked at it till now. So I want you all to learn from this. And he takes out the note and he says, "Hey, you're standing on my breathing tube."
All right, next Alex. Yeah. We're going to swap.